and back into the sounds of the dream. And when you're ready, open your eyes and be ready to hear the lesson. Feels like it's been a year since I was here. I miss you guys. About 2 weeks ago, I did a memorial service for a very close friend. That's the first time I've ever done a memorial service for a friend. I've always been asked to do with people that are kind of out there, but never that. And I began to think about, wow, I'm 80 years old, and all of a sudden people a lot younger than me are dying. Mm-hmm. Bob was a college friend, and he married another college friend of mine. And we were in each other's weddings and shared occasional vacations. We loved to discuss religion. He was an atheist. I just got notified by email this morning that one of my high school friends had passed away, and his celebration would be in a month. And we used to go to church camp together, and I was shocked when I saw that he had passed. Jennifer was originally my doctor, and we became good friends along the way. And when she retired, we began to meet on a monthly basis to have dinner with each other. And at one point she expressed, you know, I think I have ALS, but my doctor says no. And within a few months, the doctor finally confirmed that indeed she had ALS. She passed on Thanksgiving Day last year. But the one goal that she had, the one that she wanted most to have, was her 2 grandbabies who were born in July and August. Oh. And so she got to meet them. That was the most important thing to her. But what was amazing to me was there was never any doubt. It was her faith, the depth of her faith on this journey of death. Danny was a student when he walked into my recreation program class at Cal State Long Beach, and we both loved to ski, we loved to camp, and ultimately Danny accepted a job with me. We never got a chance to fish together, however. It was something that we both loved to do. There was always something that got in the way, and our planned trip with close friends came a few weeks after his passing, after he had fought liver cancer for 10 years. We had known each other for 45. I became close to John when he married my dear friend Eileen. And we spent many an evening over gourmet food and a bottle of wine that was delicious, philosophizing and discussing the state of politics in America and the meaning of Native American spirituality, complete with totems and symbols, something we were both in love with. We were very interested in it. His death came unexpectedly and was quick, and only moments were left for his wife, my girlfriend, his children and grandchildren to say goodbye. We knew each other 35 years. All of these friends left a big hole in my world, as well as those who loved them. Each of them reminded me of Daniel Niemod's music that's entitled The Last Song. If you've never heard it, go on YouTube and listen. All of them have made an incredible difference in the world in their own way and in their own professions. They weren't famous, however. No, but to me and those who loved them, they were very special. I truly miss each one of them. You're probably wondering why I'm speaking about death on a Sunday afternoon lesson, especially since it probably hits home for all of you. And the answer is really quite simple. We never lose our oneness with God or others, even when we cannot see them. Even when they have transitioned from the planet Earth and After all, death cannot contain God, so how can it contain our loved ones? We need only remember the story of Easter to be reminded that individuals we love go on living within each and every one of us. And any of us who have lost a dear one knows when they are near us. I'm often reminded of the scene from Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze as she watches on the inside door of her house as a penny climbs up, it goes underneath the door and then starts to climb up the door, and nobody is touching it. But it's Patrick Swayze, her husband, who was killed on the other side, raising it, reminding her that he is still with her. She cannot see him, but she knows he is there. My brother Ken passed in the Christmas of 1991. Our entire family was challenged by his passing. Several years later, feathers kept appearing in strange places. Perplexed, I questioned the constant appearance of feathers one day when I was attending our church conference at Asilomar, and one of the practitioners for our church turned around and looked at me and said, "Eileen, that's easy. It's your brother sending you love." I could have had a D8. I was amazed from that point forward when feathers would show up in my life, especially the day that I went through my interview to become a minister, and I stopped in the path to call my dad and say, "Dad, you can call me Reverend now." And I looked down, and here between my 2 feet was a feather. My brother was with me. I was amazed, or I continue to be amazed, how often feathers show up. Most of the time, it's when I need assurance or in moments of challenges or sorrows. He always knows when to come. Just like God is always there when we least expect her, she has never, ever left us. We need only a nudge or a gentle reminder of some shape or form. I'm here. I am one with you in this sacred place and space. It is our choice whether we fall into the divine embrace or ignore it. I believe that love is very much a part of oneness. Ralph Waldo Trine states, when we fully realize the great facts of oneness of all life, of all that are partakers from this one infinite source, and so the same life is the life in each individual. When prejudices go and hatred ceases, love grows and reigns supreme. Something we surely need in America today. Oneness is an intimacy like no other that we have ever experienced. And my teacher, Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind text says, this is the perception that Buddha and Jesus and other great spiritual leaders had. They understood that the universe has to be one in order to be at all. And Jesus said, "Who hath seen me hath seen my Father." Jesus arrived at a perception of oneness. What we must understand is that oneness does not stop when someone passes or when they are not with us. In fact, it is strengthened because we embrace our oneness in a new way. They are no longer physical, but they're ever so deep within each of us. Often when I speak of oneness, I'm reminded of the story of a Cherokee boy, and when it's time for him to become a man, his father takes him off into the woods, blindfolds him, sets him on a stump of a tree, and then leaves him. Now he has to sit on that stump all night long. He can't leave it at all. He cannot cry, he cannot speak out, he cannot take the blindfold off of him until the rays of the morning sun reach his face. And once he survives the night, he becomes a man. He can't tell the other boys about it, because each of these lads has to go through this ceremony to become a man. Now the boy sits there and he's absolutely terrified. He hears all the sounds of the noises going on around him, wondering whether the wolf or the bear will come get him. He swats off the flies that come around his head. What wild beast is out there? Maybe even some human might come to harm him as he sits there. The wind blows the grass and the earth, and it shakes his stump. But he must sit there and be stoic, never removing the blindfold. Finally, after the most horrific night of his life, the sun appears and he feels it on his face and he rips off the blindfold. And it is then that he discovers his father has been sitting on the stump next to him. He had been watching him the whole entire night, protecting him from harm. We too are never alone. God is always within us, sitting on that stump beside us. And of course, the moral of the story is just because you can't see God doesn't mean he's not there. I loved Helen Keller one time when she said, I can feel the wind, but I can't see it, just like I can feel God, but I can't see him. So just what is oneness? Simply put, it means there is no separation from God, each other, and all things within the universe. Recently, I went camping with a group of friends, and someone asked me what I was working on, and I indicated the lesson that you're hearing today. The next question came, so what's oneness, Eileen? I've never heard of that. And my own personal beliefs are that oneness is not just our intimacy with God, but with each other. It includes forgiveness. There would be no oneness without loving kindness and compassion. Oneness is knowing and understanding another's pain without judgment or a need to fix it. Living in oneness is letting go of duality. It is gratitude for our intertwining with nature and others. And about that time, someone said, look in the sky. And there were 3 ospreys flying around us, circling in perfect time, at different levels, communicating with each other. They were a team searching for food. As we stood there and stared into the trees and the sky with wonders, I told others, that's a perfect example of oneness. Not only were the ospreys one with each other, they were one with their surroundings as well as us as we stared up at the beauty of it all. In 1 Corinthians 6:7, we are told, but he who unites himself with our Lord becomes one with him in spirit. This concept of oneness is certainly not new. That verse was written over 2,000 years ago. And according to Sensei Alex Kekuya, in an article about the teaching of Buddhist oneness, he writes, oneness is a teaching that states all living beings live in the same pot. I love that. We share the same roots, and what benefits one of us naturally benefits all of us. Similarly, what hurts one of us hurts all of us. So we must practice right mindfulness and use our inner wisdom in our daily life. If we don't, the results will be disastrous. For example, if we cut down all the trees near our home, our air quality will suffer and it will be hard to breathe. If we poison our rivers, then they will struggle to find clean water to drink. And of course, we still have our individuality. The river is the river, and the tree is the tree, and we're still human beings living seemingly separate lives. But if looking beneath the surface, we see the oneness of all things, then we begin to understand that our well-being is tied to the rivers and the trees and the people around us. So we care for them just like we care for ourselves. It is a simple reminder that when we harm others or Mother Earth, we harm ourselves. When we fail to recycle, for example, we're harming all of the environment. When we don't pick up a piece of trash as we walk on a path, we're failing to honor Mother Earth. When we use the when we drive through the fast food outlet, we're contributing to the drought as our car idles over and over and over and emits that into the air. There are so many connections in our oneness with God, each other, and our surroundings. There's an intimacy with the divine when we come to realize and embrace our oneness. We've all heard the definition of intimacy. Into me I see. Oneness is seeing into ourselves and not being afraid to see all the marvels that God sees. In our oneness with God, we come to a place of acceptance of ourselves through our knowing that she isn't done with us yet, and that we are perfect in this moment just the way we are. Oneness is about having the courage to accept ourselves and others just as God does. Spirit has never left us, but we have left ourselves when we look within and are afraid to see what we see. Oneness is working from the inner outward, not the outward inward. What happens outside of us may just be the nudge, the push that forces us to move to a deeper place of oneness, to grow, to forgive, and to heal. In knowing ourselves at a greater depth level, we come to a place of knowing the divine at a greater depth than ever before. And why do you suppose finding our oneness with God's and other is so difficult? Why is it so hard? Simply put, it is us and our thought process that prevents it. In an article by Matteo Sol, he tells us, while our minds help us to plan, imagine, create, structure, and logically understand life, they also simultaneously fragment our experiences and our existence. When life is broken down into thoughts and concepts and ideas and beliefs, we cannot directly experience the oneness of everything. Instead, we perceive life through a broken lens. And until we can take off those cracked glasses, we will continue to see ourselves as isolated and separate little entities who see the world in black and white. It's like the rock tumbler effect. Have you ever seen a rock tumbler? It's a little kind of. Thank you. Sounds like it's a cylinder and it's attached to a machine, and you throw the rocks or the pebbles in there, and you put some sand and some water in it, and you push a button, and you let it go for a week, and then you go back and you get it out, and you clean it all when it's all done, and you throw it back in and put some more water and stuff. And this could go on for weeks to polish a group of rocks. Ultimately, a high-polished stone is reborn. And what began as a rough, dull stone turns into something that is beautiful. And all of the stones in the cylinder contribute to the polishing of each other. It isn't just one stone in that cylinder. They're all working and moving together. That's what our own spiritual growth process is like. There are abrasive things that transpire in our life, like the loss of a loved one. We are forced into a tumbler we are not ready for. We resist our pain, our anger, our frustration, and feel abandoned by spirit, and yet God is always there within us, guiding our process. Oneness is not trying to get God to conform to our way of thinking and being. It is about us taking the responsibility to explore the depth of ourselves. And in so doing, coming to know our relationship in oneness is a never-ending and always growing process, always deepening. There are many forms of inner work. Not all processes, however, focus on exploration and acceptance, integration of our inner parts. While our paths of choice may be slow, it can also be the deepest work we will ever do in our life. There's no quick fixes to have more than a fleeting glimpse of oneness. And we must make our unconscious conscious. Carl Jung once said, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. I'd like to leave you with a couple of readings this morning. The first is from the Gospel of Thomas. When you make the two one, and when you make the inner as the outer, and the above as below, and when you make the male and the female into the single one, then you shall enter the kingdom. And the second thought is from the Tao. How can the divine oneness be seen? In beautiful forms, breathtaking wonder, awe-inspiring miracles. The Tao is not obliged to present itself in any way. If you are willing to be lived by it, you will see it everywhere, even in the most ordinary things. All of my friends and family who have gone before me continue to be one with me. Know that Del is still one with all of you. They're not far from our thoughts or our hearts, and indeed we recognize them in the sacredness